You're listening to the Dibbly-Dobbly podcast. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and click the bell to make sure you get the latest episodes of the podcast. Be sure to like and share our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. From there, our last topic for this discussion, guys, that I wanted to talk about, and we've talked about a bit with it in this chat, is about the commentary today, the state of commentary in cricket. Seeing that we've been talking about that, and we've mentioned a few things about that. Obviously, TV, radio's changed a lot. You know, the style and technique of commentary has changed. You know, from the Richie Benos or the John Arlott's, for example, back in the day. People seem to be fed up with how the game's commentated in the modern era. That's why people go over to Guerilla Cricket, because they want something different. So how would you assess the state of commentary today? Do you think it's good, bad, could be better, or do you think it needs a bit of a shake-up?
I think mixed. There are still some very, very good, knowledgeable, interesting, fun commentators. If I look to Australia, then I'll always put Jim Maxwell as my example in that group. I'm a massive Jim Maxwell fan. I think he's funny, dry. He's got an off-the-wall sense of humour when he needs to. But I think against that, because there's so much cricket, the more you increase the volume of something, you quite often decrease the quality. And I think you've seen that in commentary boxes, certainly on TV.
Yeah.
And
I would say that with the BBC as well. I mean, I listened to some of the World Cup commentary, and the BBC used to be so good. But I mean, I was listening. I mean, I had Dan was around at my house the other day. Norcross came around to see me. And the final, for example, I mean, I don't know who's, I expect better from the BBC. But when I was listening to the final, when I was driving around, I had a quick listen to them in the car. And I asked Dan, I said, was Michael Vaughan in the studio? Because for the BBC, the mix from the stadium noise and who was in the studio, it sounded like voices have reverb on and things like that, which you wouldn't expect in a live situation and all this. And I just thought the BBC's commentary service had gone drastically downhill. And I thought, half these people were in studios, not at the grounds. I couldn't really tell, and you should be able to tell that kind of thing quite easily. So that was my gripe with the BBC. And Toad's right. I mean, some of the TV commentators are just not puke-inducing, basically. And there are good ones.
Like, Matthew Hayden.
Matthew Hayden's really annoying. See, I like Ricky Ponting. Can't stand
he's
Hayden.
good.
I think Ricky Ponting's excellent. I think Aaron Finch, if you want to look at a new, very new to the commentary box, he seems to be
playing Watson as well, just to throw his name in there.
Watto is terrific. So don't not for a minute are we anti-ex players. There are some phenomenal ones. But equally, I think too often there is an agenda to promote that overwhelms the agenda, which should be to communicate what's going on. And we see that. Oh God, do we see that in the 100? Every 2 minutes you get reminded in a very shouty voice that this is absolutely fantastic. You won't see this anywhere else.
No,
when someone's just
by some guy you've
every
never heard
ball
of.
Counts. Well, as it does in any format of cricket, it just may count slightly differently, So I think there is a little too much agenda or desperation to promote, which leads to an assumption that what people want is loud and shouty, and possibly the scales have tipped too much towards loud and shouty and a little bit away from informed and intelligent conversation.
Like Richie Benos used to have back in the day, Richie.
But he was absolutely, anybody who thinking, goodness knows. I mean, I'm prone to errors, many of them. But I mean, one of the best things you can ever read is Richie Benos' commentary tips, and it applies as much now as it ever did. One was concentrate fiercely.
Yeah.
2 is don't use the word tragedy. The Titanic sinking, that was a tragedy. Nicking off at 17 for 1, that's not a tragedy.
Well, Shane Warne getting out for 99 isn't a tragedy. Like Taylor learned the hard way.
So I think the summary is ubiquity, volume, inevitably leads to a decrease, and that decrease means you get a lot more mixed, and you combine that with a tendency to overly shout and promote, over communicate, has meant that generally there's been a lowering of standard. If that works in our favour, I'm thrilled, and we're certainly prepared to stand up and admit our own errors and lack of perfections.
Yeah,
but I think we avoid a lot of those things.
Yeah, because you do the job properly. You know, you're old school in a way, but you put your own spin on it.
Some of us, maybe.
Yeah.
Well,
There are younger gorillas, who may take issue with that.
The young guys, you can even walk out and play today. You're still pretty young. No. What I was trying to say.
Can still bowl in the IPL. He'll tell you all about it.
Well,
He'll go for 8 and over.
I can go for 8 and over in the IPL. Easy.
Just floating them up there, Bear, with your...
Absolutely. Get a better turn. Yeah. A left-arm spinner.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Just bowling a few pies.
Yeah, exactly.
But my bowling will be dispatched in IPL cricket. Medium pace, not much pace, bowling probably 100 kilometres per hour, maybe even under.
Medium.
Put a bit of cut on it. I'm sure you'd survive.
Well, I try to. But nothing happens off the pitch. It's so bloody.
But it does in India. You see, that's the thing.
Well, we need to prepare some pitches that turn a bit, seam a bit. I've seen some wickets that
that's the problem with Australia, isn't it? Yeah, roads in Australia.
Hard and bouncing in Australia. You stand there in the field for 40 overs in the comp that I play in, which is a one-day match, hot as well in the Australian summer, like 35 degrees plus, nearly 40, and we can't even get a wicket. They're scoring runs. You're like, can we just get a bloody wicket here? And wrap it up, because I want to go and put my feet up. Because it's just flat. It's just nothing in the pitches at all. And that's why people complain about the MCG pitch, because I said it's an absolute road. That Ashes test where Alistair Cook got 200.
Oh,
he would have still been batting right now.
Was that the 517 for 1?
Yeah.
No, that was at 2010 level at the Gardner with Trott and Strauss. Yeah. But this was in the 2017-18 series when he got the highest score at the MCG. That was a flat pitch. But you need something at wickets, like in modern day cricket, T20 cricket. Like this recent T20 series with India and Australia. Just about every game they scored 200. That's it. Very heavy, one-sided towards batting.
Yeah.
I question whether they should be playing that in a way. I know a lot of them are different players. It's typical of the world now, particularly cricket. You've played what should be the pinnacle of the game. You've 3 days later, you're putting a team out to play another game.
Well, that was exactly the same thing, wasn't it?
That doesn't seem to be respecting a final that should have its space.
Well, no, that was exactly the same, wasn't it? After we won a T20 World Cup in Australia last year, like 3 days later, we
played 3 ODIs that we got pumped in all of them, and possibly you could point to that. There was the downhill slide.
Australia just, they were knocked out early in the tournament, qualify. So, even Travis Head. You look at the photos of Travis Head. He partied long into the night. He did.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. And why not?
Sort of like you. Absolutely plastered and didn't know what he could do. And then you have to play for Australia the next few days after a World Cup 100. So But,
do you care? Probably not.
Yeah. But I digress. Hi everyone, I hope you enjoyed our cricket discussion with Tony Bishop and the Bear from Guerilla Cricket. I hope you enjoyed hearing Tony, the Bear and I discuss the state of cricket commentary.